So with the Boruto time skip right around the corner, as in the next chapter of the Boruto manga is going to be the time skip, there has never been a better time to hop on the Boruto bandwagon. But for those of you who don't read manga, Boruto as an anime might seem a little intimidating, or you might have heard things that dissuade you from trying the anime out as a whole, and that's fine. There's a lot of bad press out there about how bad the Boruto anime is, and it's at this point that I'd like to tell you that the Boruto anime is not bad. So long as you find a Boruto filler list, which all you have to do is Google Boruto filler list and click the first one, use animefillerlist.com, it's not complicated. And then using that list, you find every episode of Boruto that is either mixed canon or straight up manga canon, and only watch those. And if you do that, Boruto's only 80 or so episodes long. You can finish it in a weekend if you're committed. And the manga itself is also very good. It's only 80 chapters long. Those chapters are 40 pages, so it's closer to 160, but 160 chapters is like, I don't know, 10 or so hours of reading. You could be caught up with Boruto taking the long and more arduous route relatively easily. However, today I want to give you a substantially easier option. See, I fully understand that there are people who want to get into Boruto, but feel as though currently they don't have the motivation to put in that kind of work. And as somebody who's always sat on the take that any fan coming to the fan base at any time is a good thing, today I want to give you a summarization of the Boruto manga. Today, I want to speed run Boruto, and therefore after this video you'll understand the plot lines, the characters, and the motivations of most of the people in Boruto such that you're ready for the time skip. Essentially, it's exactly what we did for Thousand Year Blood War arc, but for Boruto, which means I'm gonna get yelled at for this video, even though I'm just trying to make the fan base a touch more inclusive. But if I stopped making videos for fear of being yelled at about them, well, we wouldn't have a page. Now, I would love to sit back, relax, and explain the entirety of the Boruto anime to you, but even I have only seen up until episode 212, and then I skipped about 70 episodes until we got back to the car arc. And nobody wants to hear me summarize Chocho's actress arc. So today we're gonna be quick, efficient, and full of facts, because today, we're breaking down the Boruto manga, chapter 1 to chapter 8. Small caveat here, we will also be touching on some of the light novel content because I believe it's important. It's also technically manga canon now that the light novels are being converted into manga. But before we get to summarizing anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you love the concept of me summarizing anime, well, maybe I'll do it with some other anime on my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where I talk about anything that's not Naruto or Boruto. And if you just like the concept of me talking about anime into a microphone, then you're gonna love my podcast, Who Talks Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime this week. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So Boruto, even the first episode of the show is half filler. And then the next 14 episodes, episodes 2 through 15, are anime canon, which is a term you're going to be hearing a lot, and anime canon is what happens when you try to rebrand filler. See, technically what anime canon stands for is that anything that happens in these anime canon episodes will actually have consequences down the line in the anime. However, that hasn't proven to be true at all. No anime canon character has showed up in any manga canon arc and ever had any lasting impact. So we're gonna treat anime canon like what it really is. Filler. Now, the first technically manga canon episodes that happen in Boruto is episode 18 through 24, and this is referred to as the Sarada Uchiha arc. Now, this arc isn't based off the manga of Boruto. It's actually based off of a light novel, specifically Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage in the Scarlet Spring. This arc focuses on the relationship of Sarada and her father Sasuke. The arc opens with Sarada and the rest of her classmates being told by Shino, who is the leader of their Shinobi Academy class, because Shino is a teacher now, that's a slightly important detail, that in 1 week they'll be taking the entrance exam to become a genin. Now, Sarada is jealous of all of her classmates because they are able to train with their father, something Sarada doesn't have the privilege of doing. This kind of sends Sarada into a spiral as she begins to question things about her family, going so far as to say that Sakura may not actually be her mother to Sakura, which makes Sakura very mad. Sakura then proceeds to start destroying things, and after fainting because she's realized she destroyed her own house, Sarada realizes that the family photo that they have is fake, and that Sakura for some reason put a picture of Sasuke when he was in Hebi, a terrorist group, next to a photo of her. But Sarada now realizes that the girl next to Sasuke in this photo when he was in Hebi was Karin, who has glasses just like her. Meanwhile, smash cut to Sasuke, who's investigating the fact that there's people running around with Sharingan and wearing the Uchiha crest. Sarada then realizes that she has to either find her father or ask Naruto about who her true parents are. But Naruto just received a hawk from Sasuke that told him about these little Uchihas running around. And Sasuke has just appeared in the Hokage's office, and they've realized it's almost definitely not an Uchiha survivor, but more likely than not one of Orochimaru's experiments. Because you'll know if you watch the end of Shippuden that Orochimaru is now in Konoha and is allowed to do experiments so long as it's nothing usually unethical and as long as it's under the guise of Konoha. Sarada, who was heading to the Hokage's office to talk to Naruto in the first place, eavesdrops on this and realizes she's gonna tag along on this journey to find these other Uchiha. We then get a cut to the little Uchiha who fought Sasuke, relaying the information about Sasuke to a man wearing an Akatsuki cloak, who tells this little Uchiha that he needs to get revenge against Sasuke for killing his older brother Itachi. However, as they're on their way to catch up with Naruto, Shin, the bad guy in the Akatsuki cloak, interrupts them and states that they need to come with him. But Naruto had realized that Sarada and Chocho were following him using Sage Mode, and therefore he had turned around to tell them to turn back. Sarada and Chocho don't want to go with Shin. He's a strange man with a bunch of eyeballs all over his head wearing an Akatsuki cloak. However, they are not strong enough to fight him back and are quickly subdued until Naruto pulls up. Shin Uchiha is absolutely next to no challenge for Naruto whatsoever and eventually has to retreat. Naruto realizes that taking Sarada and Chocho all the way back to the village would take too much time and therefore decides, you guys are coming with me. It's through the duration of this trip that Sarada and Naruto become close, as Naruto tells Sarada that she reminds him as a combination of both of her parents. And it's at this point that Sarada's admiration for Naruto truly grows to the level we see it currently in the manga. This is important because a lot of the motivations of Sarada throughout the manga revolve around Naruto. Sarada, realizing this is going to be her chance to finally meet her father, Sasuke's a bad dad, sneaks away from the rest of the group when they take a breather to get to the temple where they're supposed to meet Sasuke. And she gets to that temple first. Sarada is so excited to see her father, who she hasn't seen in the first 12 years of her life, that she awakes her Sharingan. Now, this moment is absolutely massive and also has current manga repercussions, as this is the first time that we've ever seen a Sharingan awoken through love. Keep that in your brain. It was always thought to be possible to awake a Sharingan through emotions outside of hatred. However, it had never happened, because we learned from Tobirama that the Sharingan is awoken through intense feelings in an Uchiha. It's just while the Uchiha were caught in the cycle of hatred, those intense feelings were usually hatred. And in this moment, Sarada signifies that the cycle of hatred is over. But maybe not for Sasuke, because Sasuke, seeing her Sharingan, thinks she's one of Shin's subordinates and attacks her. That's right. Sasuke didn't recognize his own daughter. It's not until Sarada yells out "Daddy" in defense that he stops. Sarada throws a ton of questions at Sasuke, like who is Karin, who's my biological mother, all of which Sasuke refuses to answer, because Sasuke is upset that Naruto would bring children into this. This makes Sarada upset and she charges out of the temple. However, it's at this point that Sarada and Naruto get closer, because Naruto actually goes to comfort Sarada, telling him that he's partially responsible for the fact that Sasuke's always away from the village, because when they had a meeting after the war to keep an eye on the Otsutsuki, Sasuke was deemed as the only person who could. Smash cut back to Shin, the guy who's wearing the Akatsuki cloak. We get a little look into what's going on with him, and we realize that he has an army of little clones of other Shin, and they're trying to reform the Akatsuki. It's at this point that they begin to move towards the temple where Naruto and Sasuke are meeting. We then get served to a battle between the big Shin Uchiha and a bunch of little Shin Uchihas in Naruto and Sasuke, in which Shin Uchiha does manage to injure both Naruto and Sasuke, though Naruto was more focused on making sure that Sarada and Chocho were safe. And the only reason that Sasuke got injured is because there was a bunch of blades flying at Sarada. And just when it looks like Shin Uchiha is about to beat two of the strongest people in the universe, Sakura pulls up and beats his ass. It's at which point that Sakura and Sasuke begin to apologize to Sarada for keeping secrets. However, they assumed Shin was dead. He was not. Shin then proceeded to use his Mangekyo Sharingan, because yes, Shin has a Mangekyo Sharingan, to teleport himself and all the little Shins back to their base, and Sakura gets caught up in this. It's at this point that everybody tries to figure out what exactly Shin Uchiha is, so everyone kicks down Orochimaru's door, and Orochimaru reveals that Shin Uchiha was a previous experiment of his. He was a former experiment whose body would accept any foreign tissue that was grafted onto it, meaning that any Sharingan that you shoved into his body would accept and be able to use. And therefore, Orochimaru shoved as many Sharingan onto his body as he possibly could, and this is actually how Danzo Shimura's right arm was created. While Naruto and Sarada and Chocho are hanging out in Orochimaru's hideout, Sarada realizes that they have a piece of Sarada's umbilical cord. Sarada asks Suigetsu to do a DNA test on it to see if Sakura or Karin is her real mother, and the DNA test reveals that Karin is in fact a real mother, which makes Sarada very upset. She activates her Sharingan and lashes out at Naruto for lying to her all this time about her family. She also denounces any relation to Sakura and basically says she doesn't need to go save her. However, after calming down and realizing that Sakura is the only parent she's ever had, Sarada kind of digresses. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Sarada then go on to beat up all of the Shin clones. Sarada announces that it doesn't matter whether or not Sakura is her biological mother or not, she loves her family, and she realizes that Sakura and Sasuke actually have a good amount of love for each other. It's then later revealed that it was actually Karin who delivered Sarada, and therefore some of her DNA got on the umbilical cord. That's why Getsu used for the DNA testing, and that Sakura is very obviously Sarada's mother. Then Sakura, Sarada, and Sasuke all take a cute family photo together and have their first ever family dinner. And it's at this point that Sarada makes a resolution to become the next Hokage, all of which is very important for her character development down the line. The next manga canon arc is the technical first manga canon arc, the Verse Momoshiki arc. Now this is technically everything that happened in the Boruto movie. However, the TV show telling of it is better. The arc opens with Konohamaru and the new Team 7, which is Mitsuki, Sarada, and Boruto. And while we all know who Sarada and Boruto are, Mitsuki is a clone of Orochimaru that was created to master Snake Sage Mode, and their leader is Konohamaru, even though Konohamaru should be in charge of Inoshika-cho because that's how it works. The arc opens with Team 7 capturing a couple of train robbers and hearing from the train robbers that all but one of them have been killed in an abandoned mine. So they go to check out this mine and realize there's a white Zetsu in there, a massive white Zetsu, which the Genin and Konohamaru are able to defeat. To this point, they realize there's a blossom from a god tree in there that was once supplied with chakra and therefore created white Zetsu, but it no longer has chakra. Konohamaru realizes he has to report on this and sends the Genin back to report to Konoha. But they didn't actually defeat the white Zetsu, it just retreated, and therefore the Genin were like, we're not leaving you here, we're gonna help you battle it. And eventually they defeat this white Zetsu, but as they head deeper into the cave, they see a lot of dead Zetsus being incinerated by black flames. And to this point, the Konohamaru reveals to all of them that Sasuke is on a mission to destroy all remnants of the Otsutsuki clan. Speaking of Sasuke, the next thing we see is him in Kaguya's ice dimension, as he's looking for remnants of the Otsutsuki. But Sasuke is being watched in this dimension by Kinshiki and Momoshiki. And while Momoshiki and Kinshiki watch over Sasuke, Oroshiki, who is kind of in a weird place of canonicity, so we're gonna talk about him, goes to the moon to confront Toneri, who we met in the last. And he says that the main branch family of the Otsutsuki has been watching over Toneri for a millennia, and therefore they saw the humiliating loss that he was given at the hands of Naruto. Therefore, in order to make up for the humiliating loss, Oroshiki imprisons Toneri for thousands of years. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, it's Himawari's birthday. Himawari is Boruto's little sister. Naruto pulls up to Himawari's birthday, but it's not Naruto, it's a shadow clone, and Naruto is so exhausted that the shadow clone disappears while holding Himawari's cake. He is also not a great father, and this makes Boruto very upset because he believes that Naruto should be there for Himawari and him, though admitting that he wants Naruto in his life is something that Boruto struggles with currently. So Boruto storms upstairs and finds Naruto's old battered orange and blue jacket and tosses it out the window. And to this point that somebody rings the doorbell. Boruto runs down to the door and tries to punch whoever it is, assuming that it's Naruto. But it's not Naruto, it's Sasuke. Sasuke blocks his attack and asks if Naruto's around, to which Hinata tells Sasuke that he's in his office, and therefore Sasuke and Boruto head to his office. However, on the way to the office, Sasuke finds Naruto's old jacket. After Sasuke has given the status report about Momoshiki and Kinshiki, Boruto tries to bust down the door to yell at Naruto, but Sasuke stops him, which impresses Boruto, and Boruto asks to become his student, to which Sasuke says when he learns the Rasengan, he will teach him. So Boruto goes to the Sarutobi clan compound and finds Konohamaru and asks him to teach him the Rasengan, because Konohamaru obviously knows it. And Boruto, being a genius as he comes from two of the most powerful ninjas in the entire village, figures it out relatively quickly. And when Boruto goes to show it to Sasuke, Sasuke says something that I've heard more times than I would like. It's kind of small, isn't it? Which, understandably, makes Boruto a little upset, so he throws the Rasengan. However, it's revealed to us a little bit later that Boruto's Rasengan, when thrown, didn't dissipate, it just turned invisible. And that's important. See, Boruto accidentally did something that neither Kakashi nor Minato could pull off. See, Boruto's chakra nature alignment is lightning, like Sasuke's. And when he created his Rasengan, he accidentally incorporated lightning into his Rasengan, which meant that when his Rasengan was thrown, it would become invisible. Now, this is something that both Minato and Kakashi attempted, and the reason that Kakashi created Chidori is because he couldn't effectively add lightning chakra to his Rasengan in the first place. But Boruto doesn't know this, so Boruto goes to a scientist who's creating shinobi wear. Boruto happens about 15 years after the conclusion of the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, and in those 15 years, the shinobi world modernizes like an insane amount. They have burger stores, a train, and scientific shinobi wear. And one of the more prominent of those scientists is Katasuki, who's close to Boruto. So Boruto's complaining to him about how his Rasengan is weak, and therefore the scientist is just like, okay, well then use this ninja wear contraption that allows you to use any ninjutsu with with one sign. Literally all you have to do is move your hand once like Spider-Man and it shoots out a mini roll that creates whatever ninjutsu you want. It's kind of broken. And to this point that everyone feels as though they're ready for the Chunin exams, which are right around the corner. And it's revealed, like just with the original Chunin exams, there's gonna be ninjas coming from Suna, also known as the Hidden Sand Village. Specifically, Gaara's adopted son, Shinki. Then we come back to the Otsutsukis, who are currently in Kaguya's lava dimension looking for information about where she could have gone. It's to this point that Urashiki pulls up and tells them that she went to Earth, and that on Earth they have a bunch of tailed beasts in 2 Jinchuriki. It's at this point that the Otsutsuki trio pull up on Killer Bee and kill him. That is to say that they compress him down into chakra pills. This happens after Killer Bee turns into Gyuki and fires a tailed beast bomb at Momoshiki, which he absorbs with a Rinnegan in his hand. He then amplifies the power of that tailed beast bomb with his other Rinnegan in his other hand and shoots it back, which supposedly defeats Killer Bee. It doesn't. What happens in actuality is that Killer Bee uses an ink clone just like he did against Sasuke. However, in order to do that, he does have to leave a part of Gyuki behind, and therefore Momoshiki breaks down that part of Gyuki into chakra pills. This fight and the fact that Killer Bee hasn't shown up in Boruto since this fight leads a lot of people to believe that he's dead, but he actually shows up in the post-credit scene of the movie. We then get served to the beginning of the Chunin exam, which, like all of the Chunin exams, has a bunch of different phases. There's a written exam, there's a practical exam, and then at the end, they all have to fight each other. Some kids win, some kids lose. Boruto and all the important characters move on. And just like that, Boruto is through the first round of the Chunin exams. We then get the second round of the Chunin exam, which isn't the Forest of Death this time around, but is instead Capture the Flag. Shinki, Gaara's adopted son, basically single-handedly defeats the new Team 5, and Boruto cheats in the exam using his Shinobi Gauntlet in order to use ninjutsu that he doesn't have access to previously, which results in Team 7 passing the second round. However, the entire second round is being televised, and Tenten, who's keeping an eye over the proceedings, realizes that she didn't see Boruto weave any hand signs to use the jutsus he used to win in the second round. However, she comes to the conclusion that he just weaved hand signs so fast that she couldn't keep up with it because she's dumb. That's mean. She didn't know the Shinobi Gauntlet existed. But the information that Boruto has passed the second round of the Chunin exams gets to Naruto and he gets hyped about it. And Naruto goes so far as to applaud Boruto for passing the second round, which Boruto really enjoys because he never really gets positive feedback from Naruto. We then get to the third round of the Chunin exams, which, believe it or not, is a one-on-one. There's a bunch of battles. Sarada and Mitsuki win. Boruto cheats to beat a kid named Yoroi, who's completely irrelevant. And then in his second round comes up against Shikadai, who is Shikamaru's son and is incredibly talented and a genius just like his father. And even though Shikadai technically should have won because he catches Boruto with his shadow technique, Boruto uses the Kote, or the Shinobi Gauntlet, to break himself out of it, cheating in their battle when he said he wouldn't. And it's at this point that he's able to overwhelm Shikadai and force him to surrender. Then a bunch more matches happen. Mitsuki finds himself up against Shinki. However, Mitsuki isn't supposed to use the entirety of his strength because Orochimaru doesn't want people finding out what he's been doing in the dark. And so Mitsuki kind of throws his battle against Shinki. However, Shinki is incredibly powerful because he has magnetic sand ability, but it's technically the iron sand ability of the third Kazekage. So Mitsuki losing wasn't that suspicious. The final battle of the Chunin exams is a three-way battle between Sarada, Boruto, and Shinki. And while Boruto and Sarada decide to work together to defeat Shinki so they can battle it out after, Shinki defeats Sarada. Boruto, put in a corner, tries to use his lightning release, Boruto Stream, to defeat Shinki's iron sand, but it doesn't work. So Boruto uses the ability of Kakashi, Purple Lightning, to defeat Shinki's iron sand, making him the winner of the Chunin exam. However, Naruto had come to watch this final match because his son was in the final match. But what Naruto realized at the end of his match is that Boruto cheated. So Naruto pulls up on Boruto, grabs him by the wrist, and shows everybody that he's been cheating, basically embarrassing his son into being a better person. Naruto goes so far as to remove Boruto's forehead protector, basically making him not a genin at all. This leads Boruto to screaming at Naruto, saying that if he really wanted him to be the greatest ninja of all time, he would have found time to be with him. And it's at this point that Katsuki arrives and tells everybody that Boruto was his tester for the new Shinobi Gauntlet. It's at this point that Boruto realizes he was being used. And before anybody can unpack the emotional trauma of their upbringing, Momoshiki and Kinshiki and Oroshiki all pull up on the Chunin exams. Gaara and Chodro, the current Mizukage, try to battle against Oroshiki, but struggle pretty mightily. Naruto tries to use his Shinobi Gauntlet to launch attacks at Momoshiki, but all of them are absorbed and fired back. And it's at this point that Naruto and Sasuke pull up on the battle and begin battling against Momoshiki and Kinshiki. However, since both of their children are there, they have to focus on protecting them. And when Momoshiki pulls out a tailed beast bomb that would have destroyed the entire Chunin exam area, including their children, Naruto has to use 100% of his power to deflect the bomb. Naruto wanted to use a tailed beast bomb to counteract Momoshiki's tailed beast bomb, but he realized if he did that, everyone around him would probably die. So he kind of just takes a tailed beast bomb to the face, which knocks Naruto out pretty clean, and Momoshiki kidnaps him. Boruto then wakes up in a hospital a couple days later, surrounded by all of his teammates who also got injured in the debacle. Boruto looks down to see that he's still wearing his shinobi gauntlet, at which point he tears it off and throws it. It's at this point that Sasuke tells Boruto that he's been in a similar situation to him, where he's been scorned by everybody he knew. However, Sasuke can still sense Naruto's chakra and is going to save him with Boruto's help. So Sasuke gives Boruto his old headband and tells him the story behind the mark in it, which inspires Boruto to be the better version of himself that works hard for the power that he needs. Boruto also puts on Naruto's old jacket. Smash cuts Momoshiki and Kinshiki in some wasteland dimension where there's a god tree. Momoshiki tells Naruto that this god tree was created using the chakra of a man who harbored a tailed beast, which Naruto realizes is Killer Bee. They never really explain that, like how can you build a god tree with one tailed beast? And it wasn't even the whole thing. However, Naruto is tied to this tree and Momoshiki is sucking out Kurama's chakra. However, Kurama has so much chakra that he can't do it at a speed that's even remotely efficient. Momoshiki tells Naruto that he's taking this tailed beast chakra so he can turn it into chakra pills, which are kind of like PEDs for the Otsutsuki. Essentially, they can compress chakra down into small little pills, take it, and increase their chakra and overall power. This is also their secret to immortality. However, Naruto connects this idea of the chakra pill to the shinobi gauntlet in that it's a work around hard work. And as Momoshiki and Naruto are having this conversation while Momoshiki is ripping Kurama out of him, the 4 Kage, Sasuke, and Boruto pull up. I forgot to mention, the 4 current Kage also went with Sasuke and Boruto. That would be Gaara, Chojuro, Darui, and Anoki's granddaughter. Oh god, what is her name? Koratsuchi, the current Tsuchi Kage. So the 4 Hokage free Naruto from his constraints and go to fight against Kinshiki and Momoshiki, and they all hold their own with them, which is insane for scaling purposes. Well, a lot of people sit back and are like, oh, this is the weakest generation of Hokage. The fact that all of these Hokage were able to go toe-to-toe with Otsutsuki's insane. Momoshiki even goes so far as to say that Gaara's taijutsu is equal to Naruto's, which makes sense because Gaara during the blank period has been training his taijutsu with the 7 heavenly breaths guy. Like Chojuro and Koratsuchi literally managed to pin down Kinshiki, at which point Momoshiki is like, well, this guy is useless because Momoshiki is the higher ranking Otsutsuki in their duo, and therefore converts Kinshiki into edible chakra pills and takes him, which turns Momoshiki into fused Momoshiki, which does a lot of fun things for him, but the most fun of which is give him a golden Rinnegan in the center of his forehead. It's at this point that fused Momoshiki knocks out the 4 other Kage. They were useful for a while, but not the whole time. And it's at this point that Naruto and Sasuke go toe-to-toe with fused Momoshiki in what is arguably probably Naruto's best fight. Not to mention that Naruto in this fight throws hands with fused Momoshiki in base, which is insane. And Naruto and Sasuke, for all intents and purposes, defeat this fused Momoshiki. However, when it looks like Momoshiki is down and out, Katasuki pulls up because apparently he snuck in the portal and uses the shinobi gauntlet in what he believes will be the finishing blow against Momoshiki. However, Momoshiki just absorbs all of the ninjutsu that he threw at him with the shinobi gauntlet, and now he's fine again. It's at this point that Momoshiki uses all of his absorbed ninjutsu to hold down Naruto and Sasuke. And Boruto, hoping to help, throws his Rasengan at Momoshiki. But when Momoshiki sees the Rasengan disappear, he decides he doesn't need to focus on Boruto anymore. However, the Rasengan didn't disappear, it's just invisible. And so when Momoshiki shifts his attention back to Naruto and Sasuke, he gets hit with a Rasengan, which breaks his hold on Naruto and Sasuke because he was using Shikamaru's absorbed shadow technique. And it's at this point that Naruto says that Boruto needs to create another Rasengan, but Naruto gives Boruto a ton of his chakra and they make a massive Uzumaki family Rasengan. There's then a bunch of switching using heavenly hand power with Sasuke and his 6-tome Rinnegan, and eventually Boruto hits Momoshiki with a massive Rasengan. That kills him. Momoshiki isn't gone because Momoshiki, before he died, was able to grab onto Boruto and mark him with a karma mark. A karma marking, for those of you who haven't watched any of my other videos on Boruto, is a lot like a curse mark from Orochimaru. The Otsutsuki are in a cycle of turning planets into chakra fruits. However, in order to turn a planet into a chakra fruit, you need to bring a 10-tails to that planet and feed that 10-tails a lower ranking Otsutsuki. In order to make sure that they're not constantly ripping through their own ranks, the Otsutsuki created something known as the karma marking that allows these lower ranking Otsutsuki that are being fed to a 10-tails to mark somebody to upload their consciousness, chakra, battle information, everything onto that body and then eventually take it over when they die. So while Momoshiki is technically killed by Boruto in this moment, since he's now been marked with a Kara marking, Boruto is slowly but surely uploading all of Momoshiki's information into his body so that one day Momoshiki can take it back over. After Momoshiki is defeated, Boruto goes on an apology tour like a Minecraft YouTuber whose DMs got leaked. Gaara and Shinki talk about what it is to be a shinobi with a ton of strength, and the entire Uzumaki family comes together to celebrate Himawari's past birthday. And it's at this point that Boruto and Naruto fist bump and finally become the father-son duo they've always meant to be, with an understanding from both of them that they're both on an incredibly important journey in their own right, and that they should let each other enjoy those journeys but find moments to spend together. The next manga canon arc is definitely a significantly less important manga canon arc because it's the Mujina Bandits arc. This arc opens with a new Team 7 being given the mission of protecting a wealthy businessman. This wealthy businessman is Tento. However, Tento is being targeted by the Mujina Bandits, a group of bandits who are after his fortune. At some point in time while they're escorting Tento, the Mujina Bandits manage to kidnap him and demand a ransom. It's at this point that Team 7 has to come together and get him back. And they track the Mujina Bandits to an underground lair. And when they find this secret lair, it's revealed that the Mujina Bandits are actually a part of a much bigger underground association, and that their leader, Shijoji, has a grudge against Naruto. Team 7 battles against Shijoji and his elite bandits, and after they defeat them, it's revealed that the Mujina Bandits are actually just a small subsection of the Fabrications. And the Fabrications are a large criminal organization that operate in the shadows of the Boruto world and are trying to destabilize the ninja world. They're involved in human trafficking, drug smuggling, basically everything illegal you can think of. But in the end, basically their only goal is to destabilize the ninja world and take it over. However, we haven't heard or seen anything from the Fabrications since this, so who knows. The next manga canon arc is the Ao arc. This arc opens with the inners of Kara coming together for a meeting. Now, Kara is essentially Boruto's version of the Akatsuki, and the inners are basically Akatsuki members. It's just they're the more prevalent Akatsuki members. They also have outers who help Kara, but they're not considered like the inside folk. So the inners are basically our members of the Akatsuki, everybody you need to worry about, while the outers are like collaborators. All of the inners of Kara have been summoned by their leader, Jigen, who reveals to them that the vessel has been lost. Now, one of the inners, or the members of Kara, claims that he should be the one to recover the vessel. However, Koji, as in Kashin Koji, who's actually a genetic clone of Jiraiya created by a scientist by the name of Amado, who's also an inner in Kara, claims that he can take care of it, and all of the inners in Kara agree. After the meeting is ended, Victor is furious that the other members of Kara mocked him and didn't believe he could take charge in this event. However, it's this point that Koji reveals himself to Victor, and as Victor is startled by this, he goes to attack Koji, as Koji is the subject of his ire at the current moment. And it's at this moment that Victor is struck with a kunai and set ablaze, a blaze that is so ferocious that it overcomes his naturally incredibly high regeneration factor and kills him. So one of the members of Kara already gone. Cut to Konoha, where Boruto and Naruto are having a sparring match. During the sparring match, Naruto reveals that his prosthetic hand that he used to replace the one he blew off in his battle against Sasuke has the ability to absorb ninjutsu, an idea that Naruto got from Momoshiki's Rinnegan palms. The fact that Naruto's prosthetic hand is a shinobi tool infuriates Boruto because he just got yelled at about using one of them. But Naruto tells Boruto it's not about the tool, it's about how you use it. Leaning on the tools as a crutch is a way to avoid hard work. It's at this point that Naruto assigns Team 7 to transport Katsuki and a new prosthetic limb to a lab on the border of the Land of Fire. And on that very same border of the Land of Fire, Konohamaru is currently on a scouting mission. Konohamaru has stumbled upon a crashed blimp, which appears have a person inside of it. And it's then revealed that this blimp actually belongs to Kara and was crashed because there's a traitor within the midst of Kara. We then cut back to Team 7 and Katsuki as they're on their way to the lab to bring the prosthetic limb. However, it's at this point that a character that we're all familiar with shows up. Ao. You know, the guy with the Byakugan from the Hidden Mist Village who was able to break Yagura out of the Genjutsu Obito placed on him, that Ao. It's revealed that Ao is actually one of the patients of Katsuki, and that Ao is actually only alive because of advancements in shinobi technology, as Ao is one of the people in the information center that was controlling the 4th Great Shinobi World War that was bombed by the Ten Tails. However, as the train reaches its destination, we see Ao get off and start to talk to Koji, a member of Kara, and Koji begins to compliment Ao in his ability to place Katsuki under Genjutsu that makes Katsuki Katsuki tell Ao all the information he knows about shinobi technology. And it's at this point that Koji tells Ao to go to the blimp and kill anybody who's interacted with it. Once they make it to the lab where the prosthetic was heading, they do a couple of tests with some of the shinobi tools that are kicking around, and Boruto begins to warm up the idea of science and technology helping society move forward, which he's currently very cold on because of the situation that the shinobi gauntlet put him in the first place. However, one of the last tools they're testing is a chakra-wielding blade. It's a lightsaber. I shit you not, it is a lightsaber powered by chakra. However, this lightsaber is very inefficient and uses a lot of chakra, and therefore Katsuki kind of just gives it to Boruto. However, it's at this point that Naruto calls Team 7 and says that he can't get into contact with Konohamaru, who's checking out the airship wreck, and therefore he sends Team 7 because they were close. So Katsuki, shit you not, hops in an Iron Man suit and they all head out to the airship crash. However, when they get to the airship, it's being patrolled by puppets who essentially have chakra cannons attached to their arms, which they quickly defeat using Katsuki's Iron Man suit. And as they fall back from the assault of the robots, they stumble upon a cave where Konohamaru and his teammate Mujina are. However, while they were at the airship, Katsuki was able to download the information of the airship and bring it with him. However, Ao finds them, and since he was supposed to kill anybody who's come into contact with the airship, he pulls out, I wish I was kidding, a minigun. It is a rotating gun that uses the small scrolls that are in the shinobi gauntlet to shoot fire ninjutsu. It's a minigun. They then battle against Ao for a couple of chapters since he's got miniguns and drones and a bunch of other shinobi wear that make him almost impossible to kill. And after Boruto defeats Ao, he comes to grips with the fact that scientific technology can be helpful and can save lives, and also can power those who are unpowered to fight for themselves. But at the end of the day, nothing beats hard work. Ao tries to goad Boruto into killing him after Boruto hits him with a Rasengan that shoots him into a building, but Boruto uses a line of logic that Ao had given to him previously, where Ao had grabbed the screwdriver and almost jammed it into Boruto's eye. It's at that point that he asks if the screwdriver, a tool that could take his eye, was actually evil or useful. See, the overarching theme of the Ao versus Boruto fight is that Ao would become un-shinobi-like, using things like drones and miniguns, things with no genuine skill. However, Ao believed that since Kara saved his life through the power of technology, that he owed his life to them. And it wasn't until Boruto decided to save Ao that Kashin Koji shows up. See, Koji had been watching the battle, but Koji didn't want Ao leaking the information of the airship out there. So Koji pulls up and summons a toad that's about to crush both Ao and Boruto. However, Ao, in his last moment as a shinobi, uses water ninjutsu to push Boruto out of the way, bringing him back to his original roots of being a hidden miss shinobi. But then he, super gets crushed to death. It's at this point that Koji and Team 7 begin their combat, with Koji placing all of them under a seal that stops them from moving, but Konohamaru is able to break out of it. It's at this point that Konohamaru and Kashin Koji clash their Rasengans together. However, as Konohamaru reels back from the explosion, it's revealed that he has a toad on him that detonates and begins to incinerate him with the same flames that had killed Victor. And for a second there, it kind of looked like raps for Konohamaru. However, it's at this moment that the karma seal that Momoshiki gave to Boruto activates for the first time and absorbs the flames that were on Konohamaru, which leads Koji to realize that Boruto was the one who had been chosen by Momoshiki. Koji, upon realizing this, thanks them for showing him something interesting and retreats. Koji's kind of a question mark character that we're not super sure about what his motivations are currently. We get a deeper dive into him in a couple of chapters here, but his current motivations for being oh, you're the person Momoshiki chose, I guess I'll leave you alone, we don't currently understand. It'll probably become clear very soon, as most people believe that Kashin Koji is going to be at least peripherally involved in Boruto's training during the time skip. But like I said, kind of a question mark. After Koji has disappeared, everybody draws their attention to a passed out boy. They see everybody believed that this passed out boy was one of the puppets they had defeated. However, when they looked at this boy, they realized that he had the same mark as Boruto. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, Kawaki has been introduced, which is why the next arc we're going to be talking about is the Kawaki arc. Kawaki arc opens with Team 7 observing this unconscious Kawaki. However, as Boruto begins to approach Kawaki, his karma seal begins to hurt. And his karma seal hurts because it's resonating with Kawaki's, which also hurts Kawaki and wakes him up. Kawaki and the Konoha ninja begin to talk about why he's there and what's going on when Garo, another inner from Kara, appears. See, Garo had been sent in to keep an eye on Koji because everyone believed he wasn't progressing his mission of closing up the airship catastrophe fast enough. And it's at this point that Kawaki begins to fight against Garo, who initially overpowers him until Kawaki activates his karma marking. In this activated karma marking state, Kawaki is massively stronger than Garo and kills him. And he kills him by unleashing a blast wave that easily incinerated Garo and should have easily incinerated Team 7. However, Boruto at the last moment accidentally activates his karma marking and absorbs it, saving Team 7. And while Kawaki doesn't want to go with Team 7, he passes out from the exertion of the fight. And at this point, the Katsuki observes his body and realizes that it's basically a walking shinobi tool, as he's been modified on a microscopic level to be more powerful. And the modifications to his body are greater than even the modifications the Katsuki did to Naruto's prosthetic arm. They decide to take Kawaki back to Konoha because obviously Kara, who's a shady organization, are very interested in him. However, since Kawaki was a child and was very clearly heavily abused by Kara, they tried to integrate him into regular society in Konoha, and therefore they had him move into Naruto's house. However, Kawaki, who has been abused by basically every adult in his life ever, tries to escape from the situation, as he believes that Konoha only brought him in so they could interrogate him for information on Kara. Now, Kawaki keeps trying to run away from Konoha until Naruto reveals how powerful he is to Kawaki and realizes he's not to be messed with. But also Naruto is showing Kawaki how powerful he is to show Kawaki he can protect him. Himawari is also trying to integrate Kawaki into their life by presenting him a vase that she made for him. However, Kawaki breaks the vase, which makes Boruto very angry and Himawari very upset. And even though Kawaki half-heartedly apologizes to Himawari, it's not enough. After a little while, Kawaki reveals his backstory to Boruto, where he tells Boruto that he was the son of an alcoholic who forced Kawaki to work all day to get money to pay for his alcohol, and when Kawaki accidentally dropped his alcohol one day, Kawaki was sold to Jigen, who's collecting children from all over the world to implant karma markings on them because karma markings do not work every single time. In fact, finding somebody suitable for a karma marking is very difficult, and everybody who's not suitable dies. However, since Kawaki was suitable for the karma marking, he was beaten to shape by Jigen for years, which causes Boruto to gain a fair amount of sympathy for Kawaki. But regardless of the sympathy he holds for Kawaki, he demands that he fix the vase that he broke. Kawaki instead then decides that he'll just buy Himawari a new vase, and therefore him and Naruto head out to Ino's flower shop to buy the vase. However, the mere sight of flowers reminds Kawaki of Jigen, and he begins to have a panic attack. Now, this is actually one of the more subtle yet beautiful moments in the entirety of the Naruto universe, because instead of freaking out or doing anything out of pocket, Naruto simply grabs Kawaki and holds him while he's having this panic attack and reassures him that everything will be okay. And this is actually a callback to the time when Naruto himself had a panic attack and he had no one there to help him. But even though Kawaki bought a new vase, Boruto still demanded that he fix the one that he broke. Meanwhile, all of this is going on, Koji has appeared to sneak into Konoha, which he's able to do because he has the exact same chakra signature as Jiraiya, which was registered with the Sensory Bureau. However, Delta, another inner of Kara, decided that Koji wasn't moving fast enough, and therefore Delta also flew into Konoha to go kidnap Kawaki. However, since Delta's chakra signature wasn't registered with the Sensory Bureau, they immediately knew she had entered Konoha, at which point Delta and Naruto enter in a battle against each other. Now, Naruto wants to take her in for questioning, and therefore he suppresses his power substantially. And he's basically beaten Delta to a pulp at this point until she reveals her trump card, a laser beam that nullifies all regeneration techniques. And Delta, realizing that Naruto was substantially stronger than her, decided to target this attack at Himawari, who was hanging out with her family for the day. Naruto then throws his body in front of Himawari to make sure that she wouldn't get struck by this laser beam, but before Naruto can be struck by this laser beam, Kawaki throws his body in front of it. And considering the fact that this attack is a light speed attack and Kawaki reacts to it and travels in front of it before it can land, he's fast. Now, this causes Kawaki to lose one of his arms, and it will never grow back. And this makes Naruto really angry. So angry he throws the whole let's not kill her thing out the window. However, unfortunately, it doesn't kill Delta because Delta's kind of a hive mind. Delta is a consciousness upload that you can put in any single drone. We'll talk more about her later. But Delta drives a drone version part of herself back to the Kara hideout and re-uploads in a new body and tells everybody about how Boruto has a karma marking, which surprises everybody. And while all this is going on, Koji is still collecting information from within Konoha about Naruto and Kawaki and Boruto. And he goes on to say that while Naruto's power is terrifying, it won't be enough to overcome Jigen. Only the Kama can do that. And in the aftermath of this battle, Kawaki is given a prosthetic arm, very similar to Naruto's. And this prosthetic arm is actually powered through Naruto's chakra, meaning that Naruto has to give Kawaki a portion of his chakra to power this arm. Because of this act of kindness, Kawaki begins to open up to people in Konoha and even asks to learn ninjutsu. And at a certain point, he has a conversation with Kurama where Kurama reveals just how similar Naruto's childhood was to Kawaki's, which makes Kawaki even more grateful to Naruto. Naruto. That's gonna be a theme they should keep an eye on. However, while this emotional building is going on, Sasuke is traveling through the dimensions like Sasuke does. And it's at this point that he stumbles upon the Kara hideout. And it's at this point that he comes to two shocking realizations. One, Kaguya had not come to Earth alone. Kaguya was actually the lower ranking Otsutsuki who had come to the planet in an Otsutsuki duo with the higher ranking Otsutsuki, Ishiki, aka Jigen. The second terrifying realization is that there was a second Ten Tails, and this second relatively immature Ten Tails is being kept at the Kara hideout. What's even more terrifying is that Jigen began to siphon out energy out of this Ten Tails so he could go get Kawaki himself. And since Ishiki, aka Jigen, had a karma marking on Kawaki, he was able to forcibly synchronize their karma markings and open a portal to Kawaki, which allowed Jigen to simply just walk right into Konoha. And it's at this point that Jigen appears in front of Koji and tells him to stop observing Naruto, Kawaki, and Boruto, as Jigen is well aware that Koji has always been a spy within Kara, the spy who made sure the air vessel crashed, and that Jigen didn't interfere with him because he was curious about his motives. You know, that informs Naruto about Jigen's presence, and Naruto and Jigen begin to have a one-on-one. However, it wasn't much of a one-on-one because Jigen basically just went on to kick Naruto's ass. Jigen then goes over to Kawaki and begins the preparation of bringing him back to the Kara hideout, where he scolds Kawaki for trying to use the abilities of the Naruto prosthetic arm over his karma marking, telling him that Konoha doesn't care about him and they're simply trying to use him to get to Kara, which Kawaki doesn't believe. However, Naruto gets up, dusts himself off, and goes to battle Jigen again, who finally begins to take him serious. However, at this point, Kawaki had completely given himself into the idea of going back with Jigen, and not because he believed that Jigen was right that Konoha and Naruto hated him, because he was afraid that Jigen would kill Naruto. Once again, keep that one in here. However, Naruto didn't want to battle against Jigen and Konoha as he figured it would destroy Konoha. So Jigen goes to teleport Naruto away to a different area, but Sasuke kind of stops him, and Sasuke manages to join Naruto as they're being portaled away. It's at this point that Naruto and Sasuke came into combat against Jigen, and as they tried to use all their fancy moves like manifesting Kurama mode and Susanoo, Jigen basically laughed in their face, going so far as to grab Sasuke out of his Susanoo and absorb any Rasengan that Naruto tried to use against him. It wasn't until they were already thoroughly damaged that Sasuke realized that Jigen's ability is to control the size of matter on a molecular level. That is to say, he can shrink and grow things, and therefore he could pierce you with molecularly sized black rods and have them expand in your body. And as Naruto and Sasuke struggled in vain against Jigen, Naruto realized they were outmatched. And so Naruto, understanding that Sasuke was their only way to get back to the Kara hideout or the dimension they were currently fighting in, told Sasuke to retreat using space-time ninjutsu, leaving Naruto behind. And Sasuke does this with a heavy heart, and it's at this point that Naruto is sealed away in a large coffin. However, after this, we realize that Jigen is actually being controlled by Ishiki, who shrunk himself down to a miniature size and put himself in the brain of a monk 2,000 years ago when Kaguya had betrayed him and ripped him in half. And since Ishiki and Jigen weren't actually perfect together, Jigen could only use a portion of Ishiki's strength. So Jigen has to go back to the Kara hideout to rest for a couple of days before he can go retrieve Kawaki. However, Koji realizes that this is his chance, as he knows that Jigen has now been weakened and that Sasuke by himself has no chance against him. However, the idea of Naruto being trapped in a dimension with Jigen drove Kawaki insane. The last thing he wanted was Naruto dying for him. Kawaki, who was worried about Naruto, convinced Boruto to synchronize their two karma seals to create a portal to Naruto's location. And much to the chagrin of Shikamaru, they went through it. However, after traveling to his location, they were greeted by Boro, another inner of Kara. Oh, I should also mention that Mitsuki and Sarada went with Kawaki and Naruto. So Team 7 and Kawaki begin to battle against Boro. However, Boro was also modified by Amado, so his entire body is shinobi wear, meaning he has an insane regeneration ability that can only be overcome if you destroy a core, which is constantly moving in his body. So even though Kawaki and Boruto try things like a unison Rasengan where they synchronize their karma markings and hit him with a massive Rasengan, he always regenerates. It isn't until Sarada, who's now effectively become the leader of Team 7, uses her Sharingan to identify where the core is and then activates Chidori for the first time we've ever seen her use it practically, that she's able to destroy his core in one of the cooler scenes in Boruto. However, the real problem arises when Boro's core is destroyed because he loses control over his shinobi wear body, and he's about to explode and kill everybody. That is until we see Momoshiki for the first time. See, at the moment that Boro is about to explode, Momoshiki takes over Boruto's body, creates a massive Rasengan that completely eviscerates Boro. And it's in this moment that we realize the true monster residing within Boruto. We then pop back to Koji, who's returned to Kara's base intent on killing the weakened Jigen. And to this point that it's revealed that Amado is actually the true traitor within Kara, as he tells Koji that Jigen's only recovered 10% of his total power. And as Koji is getting ready to battle Jigen, he teleports Amado to Konoha, where Amado just goes, "I'm a snitch, ask me anything you want." Oh, by the way, after they killed Boro, Naruto was returned to Konoha. Amado reveals to the Konoha elite that the goal of Kara is to turn the world into a god tree. Same old, same old. Koji and Jigen then start their battle. However, Koji is temporarily overwhelmed by the fact that Jigen has an ability called Sukuna Hikona, which allows Jigen to control the size of things, as well as having a karma seal that allows him to absorb all ninjutsu. Therefore, when Koji tries to use his version of Amaterasu on Jigen, Jigen's able to absorb it, so it doesn't scorch him until he's ashes. It isn't until Kashin Koji is able to summon Jigen onto a summoning circle that Koji begins to get the upper hand. See, this isn't a regular summoning circle. It doesn't summon a dog or a toad or a snake. Koji has made a contract with a mountain where fire burns perpetually, meaning that when he activates the summoning circle, it creates very real fire. And since a karma marking can't absorb real things, only ninjutsu, there's no way for Jigen's karma marking to absorb these flames, which means in order to escape these flames, Jigen needs to manifest Ishiki. That is to say that Ishiki needs to turn Jigen into a complete vessel and become an Otsutsuki. But that's a problem though, because Jigen is an imperfect vessel, which means that Ishiki will only get a couple of days in this form. On top of that, once an Otsutsuki manifests through one of their karma markings, every other karma marking they have disappears, which means that Ishiki has been forced to manifest into a form that'll be dead in a couple of days and lost all other chances at reincarnation. Now, this version of Ishiki is much stronger than he was as Jigen, and therefore he slaps Koji around. But before he's able to finish off Koji, a toad comes and scoops Koji out of there and brings it back to Mount Muabuka. That's the last time we saw Koji, which is why everyone's like,
oh, Boruto's gonna train with Kashin Koji, and the time skip's gonna be a Naruto Jiraiya parallel.
However, unfortunately for Ishiki, I guess if you could say it was unfortunate, he was now on a time crunch, which means he was on a straight route to Konoha. And once he showed up in Konoha, Naruto and Sasuke once again stood up to battle him and once again took a big fat L. However, the main character of the show steps up. See, Boruto steps up to Ishiki, who's looking for Kawaki, and uses the power of his karma marking to teleport Ishiki away from Konoha. And after teleporting Ishiki to a different dimension, Boruto, Naruto, and Sasuke all popped into the dimension to finally defeat Ishiki. However, after entering this dimension, Ishiki blitz Boruto, picks him up, and decides, oh, you're about 80% done uploading your Otsutsuki data. As after you receive a karma marking, it takes time for that karma marking to seep the Otsutsuki data into your body to make you a full-blooded Otsutsuki. So both Naruto and Sasuke activate their strongest forms in hopes to beat Ishiki. Meanwhile, in Konoha, Kawaki was nervous about the fact that Naruto is now battling an even stronger version of Ishiki. But Amato assured Kawaki that so long as Naruto and Sasuke could hold off Ishiki long enough that his lifespan runs out, everything should be okay. And as the battle progressed, Boruto realized that Ishiki was actively trying to not kill him, and they used that to their advantage. See, what they didn't realize at the time, that Ishiki was hoping to use Boruto once he fully Otsutsufies to sacrifice to the Ten Tails and create a chakra fruit. But all that truly mattered at the moment is that Ishiki was actively not trying to kill Boruto, at which point Boruto threatened to kill himself to stop Ishiki's plan. However, Ishiki immobilizes him so he can't do this. Now, when Naruto and Sasuke realize this is a losing fight, Kurama steps up and tells Naruto they could use something called Baryon mode, which is a technique that allows Naruto to massively improve his chakra reflexes, power, and speed, while also reducing somebody's lifespan. The way that this mode works is that Kurama and Naruto collide their chakra into each other, creating a new form of energy. And since this form destroys chakra and all chakra is connected, any person you come into contact with while Baryon mode is activated, you shorten their lifespan. And when you're fighting somebody who only has a couple of hours, if not a couple of days to live, shortening their lifespan is huge. So Naruto undergoes this transformation and proceeds to beat the ever-living piss out of Ishiki. I mean, this man is throwing combos from other dimensions. I mean, he goes so far as to call back combos like the combo he used against Sasuke, where he kicked him up into the sky. And he landed so many blows on Ishiki, he was able to cut down his lifespan from 20 hours to 5 minutes. However, Naruto isn't able to get the job done as Kurama runs out of chakra before Naruto, and takes a permanent slumber. There's theories he's not gone, but as it currently stands, Kurama dies, which means that Naruto is no longer a Jinchuriki. However, the use of Baryon mode doesn't kill Naruto. It's not like having the tailed beast pulled out of you. Ishiki, realizing he's running out of options, panics and connects Naruto's chakra signature to the chakra signature in Ishiki's prosthetic arm. Using this connection, he immediately deduces where Kawaki is, and he teleports Kawaki to the battlefield. However, Kawaki immediately hides from Ishiki, but Ishiki threatens to kill Naruto if Kawaki doesn't show himself, so Kawaki steps out. And as Ishiki grabs Kawaki and tries to implant a karma mark on him, it doesn't work. And it's at this point that it's revealed that Kawaki had used the one ninjutsu he learned, Shadow Clone Jutsu. And therefore, even though Ishiki had placed the karma seal on the Shadow Clone when the Shadow Clone disappeared, there was no karma seal placed on anyone. And in that moment, Ishiki dies with no way to reincarnate, so he's gone forever. However, just like the end of the 4th Great Shinobi World War, the battle ain't done yet, as Boruto, who was knocked out by an assault from Ishiki, has now turned into Boroshiki. And before anybody can realize what's going on, Boroshiki takes a kunai and stabs it into Sasuke's 6-tome Rinnegan. See, Momoshiki realized that now with Ishiki gone and Naruto Kurama-less, the only people who stood in his way in taking over the world were Sasuke. And since Kawaki no longer had a karma seal that could stand up to him, the only thing he needed to do was to get rid of the 6-tome Rinnegan, which he had now effectively done. However, since Kawaki had gone through the majority of the Otsutsufication process, his entire body was that of an Otsutsuki, meaning he could be sacrificed to a 10-tails to create a god tree from Momoshiki. And it's this moment that an injured Sasuke and a karma-less Kawaki have to battle against Boroshiki. However, they realize while battling that if Boroshiki absorbs any ninjutsu-based attacks with his karma seal, it'll awake Boruto. So they force Boroshiki into doing this. We then get an incredibly touching scene of Kurama's death as he says goodbye to Naruto. And now that Sasuke's 6-tome Rinnegan is gone, Boruto has to create a portal to get everyone back to Konoha. Ishiki then presents himself as a force ghost to Code, another inner in Kara, and actually one of the only remaining inners in Kara. Actually, the only remaining inner in Kara, because Boro is dead, Amado's a spy, Koji's kind of dead, but also is a spy. Goro's dead. Delta is technically Amado's daughter, and we'll get there in a second. And Victor got lit on fire by Koji. So the only person left is Code. And what's fun about Code is that he also has a karma marking, but his karma marking isn't black, it's white, which means that Code is able to use the abilities of the person who gave him the karma marking, which was Ishiki. However, he can never manifest into Ishiki, which is why his karma marking didn't appear when Ishiki manifested through his karma marking on Jigen. So like I said, Ishiki is now a force ghost in front of Code, basically telling Code that Konoha killed him. And this upsets Code a lot because he reveres the Otsutsuki as gods, specifically Ishiki. And so Ishiki tells Code what he truly needs to do if he wants to become an Otsutsuki is create a chakra fruit and consume it. And just like that, we have a new antagonist, which brings us to the Code Assault arc. We're 56 chapters in, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. Now, I'm not covering Sasuke Retsudan. The Code Assault arc is where the anime currently is, and there are some sick fights in here. Highly recommend you watch them. And the first thing that Code does as our antagonist is he infiltrates Boro's cult. Yes, Boro was a cult leader. I didn't feel like it was important to cover. Now, the reason that Code infiltrates Boro's cult is because Boro's cult was actually guarding 2 cyborgs. 2 cyborgs created by Amida. Now, these cyborgs were created to assist Jigen in his conquest of creating a god tree. However, they were shut down when Jigen realized they were stronger than him. So these cyborgs were created using Shinjutsu. Shinjutsu is the progenitor of all ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. It's the jutsu of the gods, basically. With the god, we're talking about being Shibai Otsutsuki, the one Otsutsuki who's eaten enough chakra fruits to ascend to literal godhood. Amado found his corpse, which just happened to be on Earth, maybe, and used pieces of his corpse to impart Shinjutsu into these cyborgs. And the 2 cyborgs we know of that have been used creating this process are Ada and Daemon. Ada has an ability called the Senrigan, which is a dojutsu that allows her to see everything that's happening on Earth simultaneously and anything that's happened since she was born. So anything that's happened on Earth since the day she was born, she can access. Meaning there's quite literally nothing on Earth you can hide from Ada unless you communicate telepathically. Daemon, on the other hand, has a Shinjutsu called Reflect, where any malintent you have towards Daemon gets reflected onto you. And from the second you have the intention, so the second that you begin to draw out your sword to attack Daemon, you are sliced by the same sword. The stronger the attack you have intended for Daemon, aka the more malice you have for him, the stronger the attack reflected on you. Meaning, so long as you are attempting to attack Daemon, that feels like an important distinction, but we don't know yet, you will never hit him. Outside of the Senrigan, however, Ada also has a different ability, a charm ability, where anybody upon seeing her falls so head over heels in love with her that they can't attack her. The only people that this ability doesn't work on are Otsutsuki, and possibly those who are in love with other Otsutsuki. We're not entirely sure yet. All we currently know is that Kawaki, Boruto, Sumire, and Sarada are immune to this ability. Now, Kawaki and Boruto are immune to this ability because they are Otsutsukis, and Sarada and Sumire are both individually in love with Boruto, which might be a loophole for getting out of it. And Ada kind of hates this ability because Ada has been robbed of natural love. Anybody that Ada meets is in love with her, and therefore she'll never know if they truly love her for her or just her ability, which is why Ada wants to find an Otsutsuki roughly her age to date, and that's why she's in love with Kawaki, because she could get into an actual romance with Kawaki that wouldn't be dictated by her abilities. And while I know you're saying,
Well, then what about Boruto? Couldn't she fall in love with Boruto?
for some reason she's not interested. I guess because maybe if she was, it would basically be a harem anime for Boruto. Like 2 is fine, 3's a harem. Then again, I think that makes Black Clover a harem anime. However, since Ada only needs Kawaki, she tells Code that he can't kill Kawaki, but he can kill Boruto. And so Code, even though Kawaki played a very active part in Ishiki's death, is no longer trying to kill Kawaki because he's head over heels in love with Ada and he wouldn't do anything to defy her willingly. But Code still has some other things he needs to work through before he can kill Boruto and Naruto and Sasuke. See, the white karma marking made Code so powerful that Amado actually put limiters on him. And this was at the discretion of Jigen because Jigen realized that Code was gonna be more powerful than him. And therefore they decided to nerf him before he became a problem. Now the only way to lift these limiters is an iris scan and a voice recognition from Amado, because Amado builds a backdoor shutdown program into every single cyborg. However, to get beyond that backdoor shutdown and release himself from his limiters, Code needs to get Amado. So now Code has 2 incredibly powerful cyborgs on his side, and the eyes are still set on Konoha. Oh, and throughout all of this, it's revealed that Amado had a daughter 12 years ago, but she died, and therefore Amado is trying to recreate his daughter through Delta, and that the real reason that Amado is so invested in Kawaki's karma marking is because he's able to imprint his daughter's personality into Kawaki's karma marking, and then Kawaki could place one of those karma markings on a copy of his daughter's physical body, Delta, and once that personality uploads into the physical body of his daughter, Delta, he'll get his daughter back. At least that's what we currently believe is Amado's motivation. We're not for sure, though. Amado's kind of a sketchy character, but he's also incredibly smart, so we kind of treat him like a Orochimaru or Hisoka, without the pedophilic urges. And with that, we come to the final arc before the time skip, the Omnipotence arc. This arc encompasses everything that happens between chapter 67 and 80 of Boruto. During this time period, Code begins his assault against Konoha, and he does so by leaving markings all around Konoha that he can pop into whenever he wants. See, Code has a very specific ability, and it's all tied into marks that he's able to create with his claws. See, Code has an ability comparable to the Flying Raijin, where he can throw claw marks that he's able to teleport himself to at any given moment. However, he can go even further. He can make a claw mark on his face and reach his hand into his face to reach that hand out of a certain spot. So while it's not technically as fast as Flying Raijin, because Code does have to sink into these claw marks, it does give him more variability in what it can do than Flying Raijin, as Code is able to simply send parts of himself certain places. So Code pulls up on Konoha looking for Amado. And in the process of looking for Amado, he comes into combat against Kawaki, who's purposely trying to battle against Code so Naruto doesn't get lured into combat, as Kawaki wants to make sure that Naruto's life is never put in danger again. However, Kawaki, so far as we understood in this part of the manga, has no karma marking, and with no karma marking, Kawaki stands absolutely 0 chance against Code. So as Kawaki is getting his butt kicked by Code, Boruto senses his chakra and follows him out to help him against Code. However, Boruto is trailed by Naruto, who now no longer has Kurama, but is using Sage Mode. As Kawaki is battling against Code, something activates inside of him, and that something is a karma marking. But I know what you're saying. You're saying,
Nick, how does Kawaki have a karma marking? Ishiki's dead.
well, Amado was actually able to reverse engineer the karma marking for Ishiki without it actually being tied to Ishiki. That is to say that Amado was able to place in the genetics of Kawaki a karma marking that would manifest when he yearned for power the most. And that karma marking would give him all of the abilities of his previous karma marking without any chance of reincarnating Ishiki. So it operates basically essentially like a white karma marking. However, while Boruto and Kawaki are battling against Code, Code and Naruto is basically doing nothing, they manage to beat back Code. However, in the process of beating back Code, Boruto is retaken over by Momoshiki. And since Momoshiki is putting Naruto's life in danger, this is actually when Kawaki awakens his karma marking. And it's at this point that a battle of karma markings breaks out between Kawaki and Boruto, with Code pretty much all but being ignored. Momoshiki and Kawaki battle it out for a little bit until Boruto is able to take control over his body for a couple of seconds, at which point he tells Kawaki to kill him. As he understands, the last time the Momoshiki was out, Sasuke lost his eye. Kawaki doesn't hesitate, punches a hole in Boruto's chest, kills him. Oh my god, the main character's dead. Not for long. Basically, as it goes, Boruto was 82% done with his upload of Momoshiki's data. However, if Boruto dies, Momoshiki also dies. So Momoshiki sacrificed the last 18% of his upload to fix the hole in Boruto's chest. This guarantees that Momoshiki will never be able to reincarnate through Boruto's body, but also makes Boruto a 100% Otsutsuki, meaning that he can be sacrificed to the Ten Tails to create a god tree if need be, meaning that all other Otsutsuki are going to have their eyes on him. After Kawaki kills Boruto, he goes on to battle against Code, who he proceeds to beat down pretty badly until Code retreats. However, Code's retreat was tactical because he was able to get his hands on Amado eventually. And since Amado didn't want to be tortured, most likely to death by Code, he gives up the code for the limiters, meaning that Code is now stronger than Jigen or even possibly Ishiki ever was. And on top of that, he's also split the Ten Tails into a bunch of little ten-tailed soldiers, all with his marks on them, to build an army to kill the people who killed Ishiki, specifically Konoha. However, not everything is going Code's way, because eventually Ada realizes if she wants to be with Kawaki, she probably shouldn't be with Code. And so Konoha eventually gets into contact with Ada and Daemon and is like, hey, if you want Kawaki, come to Konoha. Don't be on Code's side. And they're like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And then they go to Konoha, and now Konoha has the cyborgs. Oh, and by the way, Boruto wakes up from being killed, but Kawaki's really not happy about that. See, because Kawaki understands that now that Ishiki's gone, and now that he's probably stronger than Code, the only person that really genuinely poses a threat to Naruto's life is Momoshiki. And Kawaki has now kind of gone delusional with love for Naruto and is resolute in the fact that he needs to destroy all remnants of the Otsutsuki clan because they're the only thing that threatens Naruto. And one of the things that's a remnant of the Otsutsuki clan is Naruto's son, Boruto. So now Boruto's alive, Kawaki's not happy about it, and there's two more cyborgs in Konoha. Oh, and Code's somewhere out there with an army of Ten Tails clones and as strong as he'll ever will be. So everything's cool for a couple of chapters. Everybody hangs out with the cyborgs, they go shopping. Sarada and Sumire realize they're not affected by Ada's charm Shinjutsu, and Daemon, upon seeing Himawari, realizes that she's the only person in the village powerful enough to give him a good fight. That is legitimately the only information we get on it. It's like 3 panels. However, my current theory is that Himawari is most likely a wielder of the Tenseigan. Then stuff goes very sideways. Eventually, Kawaki gets to a level of delusion about protecting Naruto where he realizes Boruto's gotta go. Not let's live in harmony until you turn into Momoshiki and then I end you, just Boruto's gotta go now. So Kawaki, who's now manifested all of the abilities of Ishiki, probably to a higher level than Ishiki ever used them, is just walking around Konoha as the most powerful person probably in the universe. Outside of Shibai Otsutsuki, but Shibai Otsutsuki has his own universe. Shibai got so powerful from eating so many chakra fruits that he gave up his own body and became a celestial being in a universe of his own. Just how Amado was able to get his body to add Shinjutsu to the cyborgs. So Kawaki is probably the strongest person in the universe. And eventually, said strongest person in the universe realizes he probably won't be able to kill Boruto while Naruto is around. So one day, he decides to have a sit down with his adoptive mother and his adoptive father, and he decides to tell them, I'm gonna kill Boruto. And they're not stoked about that. Understandably, they gave birth to him. But Kawaki's not there to ask for permission. Instead, he's there to seal them away in the Daikokuten, which is a pocket dimension that he controls. Now, this is one of the abilities of Ishiki. It is essentially an empty universe where Kawaki can store anything, where space and time don't really exist. And at any point, he can add things to this universe or take things out. So far as we understood, Ishiki couldn't put people in there, but he could put things. Kawaki can very much put people. So after shoving Hinata and Naruto into this little pocket dimension where time doesn't exist, Kawaki then begins his mission to kill Boruto. However, word that Kawaki just teleported away the Hokage and his wife spreads rather quickly, and all of Konoha mobilizes to battle against him. And just when things are looking bad for Kawaki, that is, he's being held by Mitsuki and Shikamaru simultaneously, Momoshiki takes over Boruto's body and breaks Kawaki out of the hole, telling Kawaki, you want to kill Boruto, right? Well, then you can't afford to get caught here. See, what you need to know is that Momoshiki is a professional hater. Since the moment that he put a karma marking on Boruto, he's been telling him that you're gonna lose everything. Now, we're not entirely sure why Momoshiki is so invested in Boruto's downfall, but we believe it has something to do with his dojutsu, because he has what we like to call a Jogan. And it's theorized that the Jogan is actually the dojutsu of the Otsutsuki god, Shibai. And therefore, the Jogan is the completed version of all dojutsu that all Otsutsuki strive for. And so Momoshiki wants to take everything from Boruto so he can take over his body and thus control the Jogan. Kawaki then breaks away, and Ada finds him with the use of her Senrigan. And when Kawaki and Ada find each other, Kawaki confesses that he just wishes that Boruto was the nobody and that he was the son of the Hokage. And Ada's like, I can actually make that happen. And she proceeds to quite literally brainwash the entirety of the world into believing that Boruto killed Naruto and that Kawaki is actually Kawaki Uzumaki. And now, instead of chasing Kawaki, everybody's chasing Boruto. That is for the exception of Sarada and Sumire, as they are the only two people who understand that Boruto is actually the good guy in all of this. But in a rare, and I mean very rare, W moment for Sasuke, he stumbles upon Sarada, who begs him to save Boruto. But Sasuke had had his memories swapped. Sasuke believed that Boruto killed Naruto. He was confused as to why Sarada was so upset about this. And he was doubly confused as to why he wanted her to save the murderer of his best friend. However, Sasuke had a sneaking suspicion that his memories had been altered, and he decided to trust his daughter more than his own memories. Therefore, when Boruto is cornered by Team 10, Sasuke swoops in and saves him. And while Sarada is begging Sasuke to save Boruto, she awakes her MS, once again through love, further confirming that the cycle of hatred amongst the Uchihas has been broken. However, Sasuke stepping in to save Boruto really makes Momoshiki angry, as Momoshiki is beginning to realize that there's still people in Boruto's life who haven't give up on him, and all Momoshiki wants is for Boruto to lose everything. It's what he's been hypothesizing is going to happen for a long time. And so Momoshiki demands that Boruto let him take over his body and control him forever, to which Boruto, as he's putting on Sasuke's scarred headband, says no. I'm him. And boom, that is the close of chapter 80, and possibly, most likely, the beginning of the time skip. The time skip where Boruto and Sasuke will train together for 2, maybe 3 years, and then will be treated to a 3-way battle between Code, Kawaki, and Boruto, and possibly Shibai Otsutsuki. And maybe Himawari, because she might be the strongest person in the universe. Woo! That's what 6 hours of recording looks like. But now, upon watching this video, you know everything you need to know about Boruto before the time skip. So if you don't want to watch all 293 episodes, or the 80 or so canon episodes, or read the 80 or so canon chapters of the manga, you, in probably the course of 45 minutes to an hour, I don't know, I don't edit, basically know everything you need to know about Boruto. Now, once again, I would like to throw in a little disclaimer here. It is absolutely better to read the manga or to watch the show. But if watching this video is what gets you into Boruto, then, well, shit, I'm doing my job. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, hit that noti bell. And I mean, like, genuinely, do those things. I started filming in the morning at 7 p.m.